Helium just went live. I know a lot of people have some Helium miners. What is the coin doing? Have the markets reacted in a good way? This is Around the Blockchain. Thank you for joining, everybody. Make sure you hit that like button. Let's just get right into the show. In the green square, we have Sin City Crypto. And Sin City, I'm going to be in Vegas next month, man. Are we going to be able to link up?
Oh, absolutely, man. I hope you're ready, man. You better bring some vitamin water, some liquid IV, and bring some dress pants, too.
Hey, I'm wearing Depends while I'm at it, too. All right. Also on today, just like Brandon. All right. Also on today, we have Randi holding it down. Not bright red today. Randi, how are you doing today?
I am doing good. I'm happy I'm not looking like a tomato, and I'm here to chill, hang out, and stay zesty. Make sure you guys hit that like. Let's get
All right. A lot of zesty people in the chat already. And then last but not least, we have Crypto Keeper holding it down. Crypto Keeper, how are you doing? You got any big conferences on the horizon?
You know what? I was just asking the crew that what conference is next. So I don't even know what the next one is, but I'm sure I'll be there. I try to show up and show out. You know what I mean?
All right. Shout out to Rare Evo in Denver. That's like 10 days away. So maybe I don't know if it's enough time to plan, but if not, come to Vegas, hang out with me in Sin City Crypto at the Breathe Convention.
When's Vegas?
Vegas is end of September, I think. So no, September 15th, 16th is middle of September, actually. All right, well, back to the show. We have Filecoin. Is Filecoin a Ponzi? I just want to kind of share this this headline here, kind of sums it up. Mining service provider faces a $100 million lawsuit over pyramid scheme allegations in China. Well, this is the top Filecoin mining service in China, and looks like the executives were pocketing a lot of money, as well as promising some things that they knew were not true. Looks like 5 of them ended up pocketing in the millions there, left all the investors in ruin. The name of the company, Shenzhen Space-Time Cloud Technology. Okay, Shenzhen Space-Time Cloud Technology. I guess it sounds cool. They're the executives there, and then they're accused of getting more than $100 million from 57,000 investors. So that's why we have this $100 million lawsuit. They're saying they're exaggerating the profit predictions that they would get with this mining company to attract the participants into handing all their money over to the Shenzhen Space-Time Cloud Technology company there. I know when I see that, I'm thinking, oh, this is a real deal, right? Well, Sin City Crypto, what are your broad thoughts about Filecoin? We did a video here. We compared Filecoin and Arweave. A lot of people are saying this is going to be the file solutions. Other people say there's better opportunities. It's too big. Market cap's too inflated. Now we have this scheme going on with this mining company. Are you bullish or bearish for Filecoin?
I'm still very bullish on Filecoin. I have been. It performed extremely well during the last bull market, and it is significantly down from its all-time highs. And it is by far the leader in data services and data management in the blockchain space. And this seems to be something that is growing pretty quickly. What doesn't get a lot of attention a lot of times is the back-end services of blockchain, the data. A lot of people just want to look at, hey, what is the transaction speed? What does the NFT ecosystem look like? But at the end of the day, if you want to facilitate financial services and have a wealth of transactions, a ton of throughput, and be able to aggregate data and move data through the blockchain, you're going to need some services like what Filecoin offers. Now, with that said, this was a mining service provider, and it doesn't sound like it has anything to do realistically with the Filecoin foundation. And so I wouldn't look twice at this. I'm just curious on, there's a lot of CEOs in China that disappeared because they went against the Chinese Republic. And I'd be pretty damn nervous if I was running a Ponzi scheme in China, because they are a little bit more stern on their prosecution when they find somebody guilty. And with that said, yeah, go Filecoin. It's way down from its all-time highs. I think it's got a lot of room to run, and I think it will have a big resurgence next bull market.
In Big Boy Crypto, we did do a prediction video on the price. There was a lot less tokens at that $200 range, but even if you look, there's still definitely a lot of opportunity, 5-10x potential there. All right, now, Randy, 57,000 people, it appears, got duped here. There's a lot of people maybe looking into, hey, I do want to get some sort of returns. What is a red flag for the viewers at home watching this to prevent them from falling victim to the next Shenzhen space-time cloud technology scam?
Do your research. And I think the most important thing to note is that we're still a developing industry and we still have our kinks to work out. I mean, you're looking at this mining pool. There's a bunch of mining pools that I was notified about that are actually going down, that they can't facilitate their infrastructure anymore. They simply can't afford to do it. People even looked at something like to bring up even FTX again. No one thought FTX was going to go away, and there it went kaploo, it went boom, and now it's gone. So now you have to look at these mining pools. You have to look at all of these things going on, especially with Filecoin. These are people that are really in the know about crypto, that are more elite, I guess, in their knowledge than others, that still kind of got led the wrong way. And again, they did that in China. So that's really risky. But other than that, I don't really have much to say than to do your own research and make sure that you could try to foresee as much as you can. Always keep up, if you're especially in mining, if you're even keeping your crypto on an exchange, always keep up with the news on that exchange or that mining pool, and make sure that you know what's going on with the majority of the funds, just like you would at an exchange.
You do your own research. It's not just a meme. It's not just an acronym, folks. All right, final question here, Crypto Keeper, on this topic. What are your overall thoughts about mining companies? I follow one or two on the New York Stock Exchange. Is it a risky bet or is it a safe bet? Because we're kind of betting on the infrastructure. What's your opinion on it?
Yeah, so I actually have a kind of a hot take on this because we are currently in the middle of a mining deal right now. Crusader and I are working on. I can't give too many details on it, but when it comes down to it, the mining deal is a safe bet if you're using the math that is available to you and you're not overestimating what could happen. So let me give you an example. You're going to start off, if you're pitching this to investors that are looking to get equity or whatever form or fashion they're going to be putting money into, you use assumptions. And those assumptions should not be moon math. You can't sit down with people and say, hey, let's use Bitcoin as an example. You can't sit down and say, hey, we put together this spreadsheet, and assuming that Bitcoin is at $60,000 over the next 3 years, you're going to be rich, right? No, the assumptions need to be Bitcoin's doing absolutely nothing. You're going to be buying the machines for too much. You're going to be selling them at a loss. If you do sell off, your hosting revenue, if you switch over to hosting, is going to be less than expected. You need to give the investors a realistic idea of what they're getting involved in. And then if things go better, and then if it looks good and things go better, then fantastic. The other part of it is, and we talked about this on a meeting today, it's the people that you're getting in business with. They will structure these deals beneficial to themselves. They'll take a large amount of money up front, for example. And once they have, what they're trying to do is de-risk themselves. They're trying to take themselves out of the equation, and then it's just on you. And if they have de-risked themselves and they do it fast on the front end, it doesn't really give them motivation to continue to operate for you because, hey, I've already made my money. And so you need to understand who you're getting in business with. How is it being operated? Do you have quantity or quality assumptions on the front end that are assuming basically the bad, not the good? It's not going. It's not sitting down and just saying, "Hey, if everything goes perfect, this works this way." Because at the end of the day, it is very safe as long as the math is correct. Your energy prices are, your energy rates are locked in, and you know that over this course of time, you're going to be at this rate. It works. The problem is in the people that are operating in the background, how they structure the deals and how they present it to people on the front end.
All right. We have a super sub. Remember, if you do sub to the super sub, your name pops up green. +1 from Dave Digital for Keeper's hair and Keeper's beard. Yes. I mean, your hair, is that the pompadour? Is that what you call that?
Yeah.
It's majestic.
I don't know. I just, you know what I mean? Thanks. I appreciate it.
I'm
Thanks,
seething in a red, jealous rage right now. Okay. All right. Let's move forward. I mean, Rob's got it going on too. All right. Let's talk about Argentina. Do they love Bitcoin? Let's just share this. His name's Javier Milei, and he wins the most votes in Argentina primary election. There's 3 people kind of all up. They all got around 30%, but he is very, very pro Bitcoin. He's anti central banks. He's spoken positively about Bitcoin and has called for the abolishment of Argentina's central bank there. About 90% of the votes. Looks like he got about 32%. The next guy got 31, and the next guy got 30. So we're talking about very, very close here. He's kind of controversial, folks. There comes with some strings attached here. Some of his other stances where you're like, yeah, he's pro Bitcoin. I just love this guy. He's also said climate change is a lie. He's characterized sex education as a ploy to destroy the family. And at one point, he also stated, this is the crazy one. He stated human organ sales are just another market and should be legal. Human organ sales there. I mean, I don't know how I feel about that. But guys, they got a lot of problems in Argentina. Their inflation rate, we complained when it hit 9% that one June, I think, last year. Their inflation rate is 115%, folks. Actually, 116. It's the worst in over 3 decades. Actually, was worst back in the 90s there. The general presidential election is coming up soon, October 22nd. He just has to secure 45% of the votes, and he is the next president of that country there. So 116% inflation right now. Sensei Crypto, I can't help but compare him to another leader in that area. It's you. You're the leader of Vegas. No, I'm talking about Bukele.
I thought you were gonna say, because I mean, have you seen this guy's picture, man? He's kind of creepy looking though.
Yeah.
All right,
he has Trump hair. Well, you know what? Let's play this video.
He has meatloaf hair here. You can see he's compared to Meatloaf, or the creepy dude from No Country,
Javier
that
Bardem,
serial killer dude.
Well, let's actually. He does a good impression of Javier. Let's play this YouTube video real quick. This is Central Bank. If in case you didn't know what Banco Central meant. I know it's a tough one. Okay, wait for it. Here it comes. The payoff will be worth it, folks. This guy goes a little hard in the paint, as they say. He really hates central banks. That's all I'm going to say. Almost loses the stick. Almost hits the female co-host. He goes nuts. Not that far away. Not that far away. Well, we're comparing him to Bukele.
Don't we all feel like that?
Yeah. I mean, I would feel like that if I had 115% inflation. But do you think he's copying Bukele and what they're doing in El Salvador? I mean, the 115% inflation, is that just, Bukele's approval ratings? I was looking, it's about 91% right now. Is he taking a page from his book?
I think so. I mean, you can't ignore what Bukele's done. It seems like he's grown in favor, at least with the crypto community.
Who has the better haircut?
Definitely Bukele. Bukele's a sharp dressed man. I mean, he's got like perfectly lined up, like thick beard coming in. It's he's got his thing going on, and he's got a gorgeous wife too. So Bukele's definitely got him dressed up a little better. On our show today, we actually watched an interview where he was discussing the central bank and its failures and the failures of the monetary system, particularly the fiat system, not only just in their country, but in the general thesis of how money operates and how politicians use basically the money printer to tax through inflation the citizens. And as much as we joke about that little video there, I mean, aren't we all frustrated with the central banks? I mean, to a point. I mean, you give me a stick and you let me, knock some cracks into the real central bank without January 6th kind of thing going on. I would do it. And so, with that said, I mean, is he not saying anything that we don't all agree with?
Yeah.
And my concern is that we do hear in politics over and over and over again, hey, I want to change this, abolish that. You can look at like healthcare for an example. Every time some politician is running for presidency, they always talk about making pharmaceuticals or healthcare cheaper, but when it comes down to it, when they get elected, they end up dropping the ball. They end up getting influenced by the powers that be. And I think that you might see something similar when it comes to their proposals for Bitcoin and abolishing the central bank. I think it sounds good to rally the troops, get people that are upset at their purchasing power disappear. Any savings that they have are simply getting cut in half every year, and you can't save up to buy a car to go to school, and you just basically live paycheck to paycheck, and you're just trying to grab a hold of any kind of commodity to protect you from losing all of your wealth. And I mean, I'm with him, but I just would find it hard pressed to believe that he could execute the abolishment of the currency of his own nation. And if he were to do something like that, how would it be done? Would it be the Lightning Network? Would it be an altcoin? He mentions Bitcoin, but I don't know.
Yeah. Still remains to be seen, kind of comparing the two, the GDPs are quite different. It's about 15 times larger in Argentina. So that might be 15 times amount of machinery of the old central banks, just all the money percolating in the system there. Well, Randy, I don't understand why this isn't more popular. We brought up Bukele. I see people in the chat, he's wildly popular in El Salvador. Someone said they actually have family in El Salvador. I think they said they call him the cool dictator over there. So, I mean, hey, I guess they're kind of okay with it. Inflation is over 100% in Argentina. How come every single high inflation country doesn't adopt this method?
I think that maybe they just don't know about it, and the education is really small. I have heard other small countries saying they want to transact in Bitcoin because it's more feasible, that maybe they want to keep Bitcoin in their treasury. All of this is inevitable because I think throughout the world, you're seeing that triple digit inflation in some places. You're seeing maybe single digit, double digit inflation, but it's still a good amount for people to notice that their lives are changing. Then you also have the political scheme, right? Where maybe a lot of people are in favor of the powers that be, the central banks, the people that essentially control their lives. If you look at the group of central bankers, the Bank for International Settlements, this is one collective group of central bankers that literally control 95% of the world's economy. So some people are getting tired of that. This president of this guy that's winning the primary elections in Argentina, of course, he feels the same way because he said that, which was a good point, that he wants to return money back to its creator, which is the private sector, the people that are actually doing the work to move the money around that these central bankers and the powers that be profit off of. So I definitely think that there's going to be a change of pace. Education is spreading. People's lives are being affected. Money's going digital. Everything is going digital. You don't go through all of these brokers anymore. You don't call them. You don't get all these paper things written to you for your stocks anymore. And all of these retail things, whether that's like buying a car, your real estate deed, all of this is becoming virtual. All of the money, everything in your life is becoming virtual, digital. Why wouldn't your money be digital as well? Your investments become fully digital as well. And something like Bitcoin, that's actually something that is transparent, something that you can track, something that has a finite supply, a controlled inflation schedule. I mean, come on, why aren't more people adopting this? It comes down to the education.
Why wouldn't you make all your money digital? I guess you can't roll up a Bitcoin. I'm just kidding, folks. All right. Why did I even say that? Why did I say that? Anyways, all right. Let me show you something here, Crypto Keeper. You're getting a laugh at it. All right. This is money that these countries owe to the IMF. You've heard of the IMF, International Monetary Fund. Well, I'm burying the lead here. I'm hiding the top four here. Morocco, Jordan, Sri Lanka, Colombia, 5 billion, Pakistan, 7.4, Ecuador. Well, look what's number 4. Hey, we have Ukraine. Ukraine owes IMF 12 billion. Hey, Pakistan owes the IMF 14 billion. Egypt owes the IMF 18 billion. And Crypto Keeper, who would you guess is number 1? Look at that. Argentina, nearly doubling the next country there. They're coming in at $28 billion owed to the IMF. Is the IMF scared right now that they're going to not get this $28 billion?
Hell yes. Okay, so first of all, just backtracking a little bit, Ukraine, they lost $75 billion they have unaccounted for. So I don't know why they haven't paid their $12 billion, because we just send them hundreds of billions of dollars all the time anyway. So the U.S. we'll just pay off the IMF because we just give other countries money like that anyway. But I want to read something. I was looking up as you were starting to ask the question, like why, fundamentally the IMF says that they're against Bitcoin. And it says, outlining its executive board's assessment, the IMF said directors welcomed the proposals and agreed the widespread adoption of crypto assets could, quote, undermine the effectiveness of monetary policy, circumvent capital flow management measures, and exacerbate fiscal risks. Well, let's talk about what that's really saying. That's really saying, hey, folks, we will no longer have control over the monetary system. We won't be able to push you around like the thugs that we are. And at that point, you've taken away our power. So, of course, they're going to be scared of this. The moment that you give power back to the people, this is why we are pushing the whole world, all of these central banks, everyone is pushing against, or at least trying to slow down the adoption of Bitcoin, because they understand that if we give the power back to the people, we've lost power. And so, yeah, I think that it's not a surprise that at the top of the list, Argentina sits. But yeah, they definitely realize that this could be an issue for them. But if enough people decide, hey, we're not gonna roll with the punches here. We are going to stand up and say no to what the central bank is doing. We are going to transact in Bitcoin. If small business owners across the US would make the decision, hey, we're no longer using the dollar, we're using Bitcoin. If enough businesses started doing that, we could make a massive, massive change in the world that we live in today. But too many people are too scared to do it. And like Randy said, they're not educated enough yet to do it. If we could just continue to push that education, I totally agree with that. Because most of the time when I tell a customer, hey, I accept Bitcoin, and I don't do it anymore because with my construction business, because the look that I get when I tell people that, they immediately think that I'm a scammer or something, that I'm trying to like evade, you know what I mean, the feds or whatever. And I'm like, listen, it's a freaking blockchain. And then what's a blockchain? You know what I mean? It's crazy. We got to get more educated and step it up.
All right. Plus 1 point for taking work in Bitcoin there. All right. YJT kind of sums it up pretty well. I can't even begin to imagine 115% inflation. Me neither. That just sounds very, very frustrating. And you wouldn't even want to have your money in the bank for a day, let alone a year, let alone 10 years, let alone save for retirement. It's not great. But we just gave fire victims a whopping $700. Okay.
Too
All right,
soon?
hit that like button if that frustrates you. All right, well, let's talk about Helium. Helium, folks. Helium went live. Let's just share this little headline here. Helium Mobile debuts crypto wireless network in Miami for $5 a month. Too bad we don't have Evan Aldo on it. We'd make him go buy one. I don't know if he'd go buy one. Shout out, I heard him on that space with BitBoy. But it's a mobile crypto project. It was wildly popular in 2021. There's a back order for the Helium mining equipment. I think it took upwards of like 10 months at one point for you to get your equipment. Well, the Helium 5G network teams up with T-Mobile. Yeah, T-Mobile as their partner. And that $5 a month. Well, what can it be? Well, it's unlimited talk, unlimited text, and data, and does not require a contract commitment there. And they do have a network of node operators. If you got it, you get paid not actually in Helium. You get paid in Helium mobile tokens. I'm not sure the utility of that or the buy pressure behind that. Nova Labs is behind Helium. They just raised $200 million at a $1.2 billion valuation. Seems to be doing pretty good. And currently, I don't know how accurate this is, there's about 400,000 Helium nodes, according to the company there. Now, Sin City Crypto, Miami, Sin City, pretty close as far as, crypto adoption, as far as density and everything, heat even. What are your thoughts about Helium? Is this a viable business? If Helium's in Las Vegas, would you operate a node so people can, call people while they're saying, hey, honey, will you wire me the money from our savings?
Here's the thing. I think my cell phone bill is about $100. So $5 a month. Let me get this right. $5 a month, you get unlimited talk, text, and
it was
data.
25 and they lowered it. It was 25. They lowered it 80%, like seemingly at the last minute.
I'm in.
Mathematically, it makes no sense, but hey, whatever. So, here's the thing. I do think that there is a very strong potential here when it comes to the original Helium miners, the traditional mesh network that they're trying to do with their broadcast Wi-Fi or comparable Wi-Fi, and that. It took a little bit more. You needed density. You needed a lot of participation in the households, and it wasn't quite as practical as some as say the cell phone. Now, here's the thing: cell phones, you don't need to do it. If you don't need to apply any extra unit to it, you just download some software, and all of a sudden you're participating in the network and you're spreading out data, and you're helping out internet and text and phone calls. Then I think that's a win, right? If you're just to look at it just from, if you're just look kind of backpedal just to what their business model is, where they're providing internet service through radio network. That's what the Helium network did initially. So it's a competitor to the traditional Wi-Fi system. If you just did that just with cell phones, that would be pretty badass, right? I mean, think about it. Like you can't get a signal, you can't get a Wi-Fi signal while you're on the move. But now let's just say you're on a city bus and everybody around you has cell phones and they're all participating in a network because it's a lot cheaper. Then you could have constant Wi-Fi network running all the time. And I think that is something that will probably evolve to eventually anyways, is why use one tower to communicate everything, where you can have a host of nodes running around with the node in their pocket, and then they can extend the network, and T-Mobile doesn't need to go put up a bunch of towers. They can just use the network from AT&T and vice versa, and you just create a mesh network where everyone is sharing data from one another. I think that makes a lot of sense. I mean, I'm no engineer in this department, but hey, if that's their business model and the original Helium miners, it sounds like something if they could implement that on cell phones, and you can use your cell phone as a node, and then you can have thousands of nodes running around the city. I think that makes a lot of sense to me.
Yeah. Works great for urban environments, not great for rural. We have a JPEG junkie in the chat. Redman, I have 2 Helium miners. They suck. Okay, well, I didn't. Well, that's his experience, folks. All right, now, Randy, they went from Helium. We're kind of talking about the history. They originally operated on their own blockchain, actually, back when they first launched. But then they pivoted to a controversial chain. I think it's fair to say, not as controversial as say Hex, but they went to Solana. Without, it's a fair amount of criticism. You can levy it that direction. What are your thoughts about them transferring from their own blockchain to Solana? Would you say that is a bullish move or a bearish move?
I mean, I feel like either way, okay, so if you have a blockchain that isn't sustainable, yeah, you got to do something about it. But then to go to Solana, I'm not too sure about that, because when I look at a blockchain or when I look at a project, period, I ask myself a few questions. 1, how does this apply to my life? 2, how does it solve a problem? 3, is it feasible? And 4, does it work? And you ask those questions about Solana, and the does it work part really stands out, because maybe the transaction fees were fast, maybe the fees weren't as crazy as Ethereum, but there's just constant, it feels like as though there's a switch being flipped and it's constantly on and off, especially when people needed it the most. Let's say you're relying on this network, or you actually have like gaming assets that are worth thousands of dollars, or you have real estate deeds that are on Solana. And then when you need it most, or when you really need to make that call, then the blockchain is down. And then what happens next? I do know that maybe T-Mobile is the backup, like they have that network behind it. But to rely on a blockchain that already hasn't had the best track record, I'm not too sure. So that's the thing I mentioned. That's why I talk about things like Litecoin a lot, the longest running blockchain with no downtime, something that is reliable. And I don't feel as though maybe Solana's the most reliable blockchain, but I guess it serves its purpose for this. But anything to, I guess it was bold of them to make the move in the first place, to admit that their blockchain wasn't good enough. But I wonder if maybe they're going to stay on Solana, because what you've been seeing now, even with something like NFT projects, is that they start off on Solana, then maybe they move to another blockchain, then they move to another blockchain, which is something we saw actually really recently with one of the biggest projects out there. So blockchain hopping could be a thing. I don't know if they're going to stick with Solana long term, or maybe they will. It depends on the feasibility or the actual functionality of the network. That's the only thing I'm concerned about.
A promiscuous project jumping from one chain to the next. Action Crypto, Helium went to Solana because of the incentives. Remember the Solana phone? I was actually going to bring up the phone, and they're both heavily VC backed. Not about being practical, it's about money. And that is what operates this industry at the end of the day, for better or worse. Now, Crypto Keeper, last question here. I think Rob summed it up well. $5 does not make sense. The only thing I could think about is what they call a loss leader. They go ahead, they take a loss now to make money in the back end. Mini consoles. So if you buy an Xbox or a PlayStation, they actually typically lose about $200 every console that they sell, knowing they'll make more money selling controllers, selling software. Well, are we seeing something similar here? Can a $5 price point, let's assume they're losing some money, can that generate enough growth to get them into being a fairly large network provider?
I think so. I have a Helium miner, and when I got into the Helium mining space, I understood pretty quickly what it looked like to me, and maybe I'm wrong, but I looked at it as, well, this is a hardware company. Really, they're selling you the hardware on the front end with the expectation, with you then thinking you have the expectation that you're going to make all of this crypto. And the other people on the show that were speaking about it were right. Like, Helium has not done anything great for me. It's running right now and whatever. It's just, it is what it is. But you do have to be in a really good spot, and there's got to be other people to connect with, this, that, and the third. But what I think would be interesting is, and I don't know the answer to this, DZ, maybe you do, are they going to be selling phones as well?
That is actually a great question. As far as I know, that is not the case here. That is not the case. So it's you're probably going to need a good question though. You're probably going to need a T-Mobile enabled phone, if I had to guess, because they're piggybacking on top of their network.
So my guess would be that they. So. You said who?
They do have an app.
They have an app that came out.
Yeah, they do for sure.
So
actually, I got notified of that recently. Yeah, my guess would be if they have teamed up with T-Mobile, my guess would be that maybe at the $5 price point, you have to realize that it's going to attract people. I mean, if it works, I would absolutely check it out, because think about it. I pay $100 a month on my cell phone. I live in a big city, and that shit doesn't work half the time anyway. It's freaking frustrating. So I'll spend $5 and get the same results. Cool, let's do it. So the only thing I could think is that maybe they structured a contract with T-Mobile that basically brings in a massive, massive user base with some sort of a business back-end deal, whatever it may be, whether it be the app like Randy was just suggesting, or whether it be for conversion to the T-Mobile network, because if you have to have a T-Mobile activated phone, and I have, let's just say, Verizon, and I say, wait a minute, I'm paying $100 on Verizon, I could do $5 on Helium, but I got to have a T-Mobile phone. Now all of a sudden, maybe you have a really good business, a prospect there, right? And so maybe they're just trying to almost mine and farm people into their ecosystem with the idea that they're going to be selling T-Mobile phones. They've got a deal on the back end with them, and the way that they're going to do it is take a big hit, a big loss on the front end, but selling it for $5 because it is going to be enticing. Crusader lives down in Miami, and I texted him about it. I was like, bro, screw your phone bill. Let's check out this $5 a month and see how this thing goes. Let's toss $5 at it and see if it works.
It's definitely video. It's a video for sure. Retro Mike Tech said they have a list of provided phones: Soul Saga, the Google Pixel, and the Samsung Galaxy. I can't remember who said it. They said, I read in the Bible, you're not supposed to sell your soul. I didn't know they knew about that blockchain back then. That's pretty interesting. I'm going to check that out, figure out what book that's in, maybe Revelations. And then a lot of people say the logic would be to work with the Solana phone. So yeah, that would make a lot of sense. But hey, that Solana phone looks like they couldn't survive long enough for this Miami rollout. Was it just like a month ago? Guys, you only had to take like another 30 days down until you cross that line. Maybe it could have been enough. Who knows? But I think we're going to go ahead, call it here. We're running out of time. Dave Digital +1 for the toothbrush scraping on the floor. Are we talking about Sam Bankman-Fried? That was yesterday's episode. All right, but it looks like, Crypto Keeper took it home. Man, it was honestly the hair and the beard took you over the edge there. So Crypto Keeper, thank your gel, thank your moose, thank your wife for buying the products. I don't know, but feel free, leave us with some parting thoughts, please.
Yeah, no, thank you for having me on as always. Make sure you're following Randy. Make sure you're following Sin City Crypto. They put out great content all the time. Obviously, follow us on Debate Crypto. We're on Mondays and Thursdays at 3 p.m. Eastern, and then Sundays at noon for kind of the weekly wrap up. We appreciate you for always having us on, DZ. And just remember, everybody, question everything, trust nothing. Love you guys.
All right. Go watch Fox Mulder. I want to believe. Until next time, easy out.